Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beth, for sharing your expertise as well as those helpful tools with us. What a perfect way to start our day and help shift our mindset, not only while facing cancer, but also during this unusual time in our world. Now, we will get to hear from one of Bay Area Cancer Connection's own, Helen Shaughnessy. Helen is a 4-year breast cancer survivor. Helen loves to kayak, and when not under lockdown, she also plays ice hockey. Helen works in product marketing, helping companies communicate value to prospects and customers. She enjoys guiding startups to work through product and business decisions. In addition to BACC, Helen volunteers with Trail Center, a nonprofit that builds and repairs hiking trails in conjunction with local agencies. Please help me welcome our very own Ms. Helen Shaughnessy.
My name's Helen, and this is my story about how I got through cancer with a little help from my friends, my family, and strangers. So it was 2016, July, and like many of you, got that second mammogram, got that biopsy, and got the phone call. I was 45, single, and had cancer. And I live alone. And head was swirling, trying to figure out, okay, what does this mean? What do I have to do? Luckily, my friend Yvette happened to be visiting. And Yvette had helped her father through cancer. So she really kept me focused. Thought through questions I had to ask, things I should know, had plenty of information, more than I could absorb. And she understood that and gave me what I needed. And it was fabulous. But we talked a lot. And Yvette is a very upbeat woman. And I think she really contributed to the attitude that I ended up taking. I'm going to live 50 more years. This is not going to kill me. I'm living 50 more years. With that mantra, I was able to get through every hard decision. Because when I got to that decision, if I couldn't deal with it just normally, it got compared to, was it going to help me live 50 more years? Was it going to help me live 50 really good years? And if it wasn't, so, had a diagnosis, but then of course there's the hurry up and wait. They took my blood for genetic tests and then you wait. But I had a vacation planned, so I took it. I was visiting family. We went out to Cape Cod. What better way to wait for your genetic testing than to hang out on the beach with your family? But while I was there, I got this really interesting offer. My sister's neighbor's sister had breast cancer. And she had deep flap surgery. And that was one of my options. And she was offering to talk to me. I didn't know this person. My sister didn't know this person. I didn't even get her name until sort of right before I walked in her door, carrying the homemade zucchini bread that my parents made. Mary Lou and I sat down to tea and talked for 3 hours. Yeah, we started out with the tips and tricks, and she gave me a ton of them. She gave me, what to do pre-op, what to do post-op. But 3 hours, it got intimate. She showed me her reconstruction. We talked about how people handled what she went through. She explained to me what she went through, where things were hard, what wasn't hard. And the thing I came out with it was that everybody, including yourself, is going to react differently. And the people close to you really want to help, but they're also afraid for you. And so that will mean that there's only certain things they can do. And they have limits just like you. So I came back from that with a ton of information, was very pumped up that this was going to be, okay, I can handle this, not going to kill me. And of course, was faced with all the doctor visits, visiting this doctor and that doctor. And again, I live alone. My parents are 3,000 miles away. So of course, I trust my friends. I grabbed Courtney and Amy, people I've known for years, and they came with me to all my doctor's appointments. One or the other would fix their schedule so that they could be there for me. They were my second ears. They were probably the only brain in the room. And they made sure that the questions got asked. And if I missed them, forgot, they would intercede and ask the questions for me. And, it wasn't all, oh God, doctor visits for them. One of them was really interested in getting a boob job. And so she came with me to see the plastic surgeon. She learned everything that she wanted to know about having new boobs, whether it be deep flap or all the different types of implants. We got to play with them, the gummy, the teardrop one. You got to have the fun where you can. And so that was our fun that day. So going through these visits, learning things, making decisions, it was happening, it was rolling. But telling people was really a tough one. The first couple, not so bad, but after it gets very repetitive for you, even though for them it's the first time, and it's kind of shocking news. I hated doing it. But my mentor, my friend, I worked with him, Doug, he told me, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. Delegate it. And so since he's VP of marketing, he knows all sorts of things about dealing with company crisis communication. So we sat down and wrote what I wanted the team to hear. And then, I had clearly told him, he told the other execs, they told their people under them, and eventually the entire team knew. You have to understand, I worked in a company that had 30 people in the US, most of which were in the same open room. I could not disappear for 6 to 8 weeks without a reason. And I didn't want to be, the point of office gossip. So I also think that cancer is something that we don't talk about enough. We get these images on TV and it's the extremes. And that's slowly changing. But I wanted people to feel comfortable to talk to me. And so I said that in my message. I also said that if they had their own stories, happy to hear them. I also said, if they had stories of their friends, cousins, dog parent who drank the purple milk and was miraculously cured, didn't want to hear it. And that took a huge load off my shoulders. It was just, that was one of the hardest things to deal with. So getting ready for the surgery, what do you do? Well, my parents came out. I was going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks because I had chosen deep flap. That was the thing that made the most sense for my 50-year plan. And they came out and helped. We prepped my house because there was going to be 3 people living in a 1-bedroom condo. We got food. We got the things that Mary Lou recommended I have for post-surgery, and got everything together. Day of surgery came, and so did the surprise. I went in as stage 0, DCIS, just a lot of it. I went out stage 2A, 1 lymph node. ERP or negative, HER2 positive. So I was really happy to have my parents there, because not only was I healing from this surgery where I couldn't lift my arm, I could barely walk for a while, but I had to now go through a whole bunch of more doctor visits, and I had to go through a bunch more language learning. This time it was the alphabet of chemo. And so it sucked, but my parents were there. We did it. We did it until the point where the decisions were made. I was doing cold caps. We knew how to get them. And I was doing TCHP. At that point, I could drive. So I was feeling better because I was feeling better. But my parents were actually starting to feel worse. As there was less to do, they felt more useless and more helpless. And the stress of their daughter going through cancer, them having to watch and be there with me, it was good and it was hard. So hard. My dad got shingles. He had this shingles vaccine, but still, there it was. And so that meant that my parents had to leave immediately. Shingles is very contagious, and we did not want to get me sick. But already in the plan was my sister. So my parents left, my sister came. She was going to be around for my first week of chemo. And so the weekend before, we went and had food and ate and just whatever, talked in a way that we usually can't because there's other family around. But the other thing we did was we got the cold caps and practiced. We figured out the whole process, how to put it on my head, what to do with this mop, and how to set up everything. And she wrote it all down. And then we did it for real. We went through that day and it was weird. I mean, you're lying there with this ice helmet on your head. It weighs 4 pounds, and every 20 minutes you're taking it off. But hey, I could get through it, and my sister was there to help me. And in fact, all the documentation that she wrote was amazing, because with TCHP, you have 6 treatments, 1 every 3 weeks. So I had 5 treatments where I had to recruit people to help. Asking for help can be really hard, and a lot of times you feel really guilty. What I've learned now is people want to help, and they often don't know how. And they'll offer all the time when you don't have a list of things. But here I had a specific task. So I recruited people. I said, hey, who wants to come with chemo with me and get a workout lifting cold caps? And I was oversubscribed. I was excited. That helps, because as days shift, sometimes you need those backup people. And each of those people brought a different thing to my chemo day. Always laughter, always just craziness happening. And you know, sometimes you ask and they come, and sometimes they come without asking. My hockey friends, they decided that feeding me was the thing that they were going to do. So some of them came over and we cooked together and froze a bunch of things up so I would have things to eat and just defrost, not have to cook. They handed me a gift card for a meal delivery service. So I also didn't have to cook, but I could pick what I wanted and just heat it up and eat. And then some would cook and bring it over, or even get takeout and bring it over. And they would bring it and not just drop it off. They sat with me. They ate with me. I was alone the rest of the time. People would call because they would live too far, or they would call because their kids had the flu. And I have to thank them for calling. And I also have to thank them for not coming over, because I didn't get sick that whole time. But these friends that came over that were healthy and shared meals with me or brought me ice cream or Rita's or Thai, having them there, having something non-cancerous to talk about, so what I needed. So much. And so from the beginning to the end of this whole cancer thing, and I say end in quotes because does it ever really end? Actually, the BACC, effectively, what started out as a bunch of strangers, were there to help. I went there after my second diagnosis with my parents, and Erica actually helped me figure out what it actually meant. Because not being ER/PR positive, a lot of the normal numbers that you hear other people say didn't apply, but I didn't know that. And my parents, they hung out in that waiting room when you could still go there, and, you know, read through the literature and talked to the volunteers, and it, you know, we all left feeling better. And then, you know, I had had some time on my hands, so I had tried a bunch of the events and different support groups. And I landed on the Young Women's Support Group, Thursday nights, first and third Thursday nights of the month with Judy. Yay, Judy. And like, you walk into that group, you don't know anyone. You've got a bunch of strangers in front of you. How the hell are you going to have these, you know, scary, intimate, weird conversations with them? You know, are they going to answer your weird question around, you know, constipation and diarrhea? Turns out, yes. And you can ask anyone from that support group. Poo is often a topic of conversation. But so much else is too. How to deal with your kids, how to deal with your spouse, how to deal with how you're feeling. Cancerversaries, you know, going to different treatments, going to, you know, your next mammogram, your next PET scan. We talk about it all. And what started out as strangers is clearly not. They are friends. And shout out to you all. You guys rock. They're there when we're in person. They're there for hugs. Now it's virtual hugs. When we're in person, they bring chocolate. But like, having them around is totally what you need. So it's now been 4 years. And I know that if the shit hits the fan again, I'll be okay. Because with a little help from my friends and family and strangers, I'm going to get through this. or whatever the next thing comes. Thank you.